5 tips that will really make you a real topper. Master these hacks and no one can stop you from being a topper. If you want to be a real topper, then you need to hear these 5 powerful study tips. For 5, the 2-minute rule. Do you ever sit down to study, but instead of opening your books, you just scroll on your phone for hours? Yeah, we've all been there. That's where the 2-minute rule comes in. Tell yourself,
I'll just do this for 2 minutes.
start writing, solving, or reading just for 2 minutes. That's it. Once you start, your brain stops resisting, and you'll naturally keep going. It's like tricking your mind into focusing. But focus isn't enough. You need to manage your study time well. That's where tip number 4 comes in. Tip number 4. Pomodoro plus playlist trick. Ever feel like you study for hours but still don't remember anything? That's because your brain needs breaks. To solve this problem, the formula is:
Study for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, repeat.
secondly, use the same playlist every time you study. But why the playlist? Because your brain will start linking that music to focus mode. Next time you hear that playlist, you'll feel like studying automatically. But wait, even if you focus for hours, how do you make sure all that information actually sticks in your brain? Because if you're just reading and rereading, you're not really learning anything. And that's where tip number 3 will completely change the game. Tip number 3, blurting method. Okay, let's be real. Have you ever read a page 5 times, but when you try to recall it, poof, it's gone? That's because reading alone won't help you memorize anything. Instead, try this. First, read a topic just once, then close your book. Now, grab a blank paper and write down everything you remember. Once done, compare what you wrote with your actual notes. See what you missed. This method forces your brain to actively recall the information instead of just recognizing it. It's like training your memory to be stronger. But wait, what if you think you've understood something, but you actually haven't? Well, that's what tip number 2 will fix. Tip number 2. Feynman technique, teach it to a kid. Here's the truth. If you can't explain something simply, you don't really understand it.
Oh my God.
And that's where this technique comes in. Pretend you're teaching the topic to a 5-year-old. Use super simple words, no fancy definitions. If you struggle, that means you don't fully understand it. So go back and learn it better. This technique works for every subject, especially science and history. But even if you can explain it well, how do you actually make sure it stays in your memory forever? That's exactly what tip number 1 is going to fix. It's the most powerful method of all, so don't even think about skipping it. Tip number 1, brick and finger count method. Alright, this tip will change the way you study forever. But don't think you can just jump to this one. The first 4 tips build up to this, so if you haven't watched them, go back and check them out first. Now, have you ever read a long paragraph and thought,
How am I supposed to remember all of this for a long time?
here's the trick. Break it down. Long sentences are your enemy. Instead of trying to memorize an entire paragraph at once, split it into smaller, easier parts. Use your fingers, yes, your fingers. When you close your eyes and recall the key points, count them on your fingertips to keep track. This helps your brain structure the information better. And the final step, write it down. This not only helps you remember, but also improves your grammar and spelling at the same time. This technique trains your brain to store and recall information faster. So when you're in an exam, you don't go blank.
I know this video might not have been perfect, but trust me, these tips are. If you actually apply them, no one can stop you from becoming a topper. So don't just watch, take action. And if you found even one tip helpful, make sure to subscribe for more study hacks that actually work.